Okay. I have a lot of thoughts on this stuff recently, and I was going to do it today, but I think I'm going to do it tomorrow now, because now this just dropped, which is Overwatch retail patch notes for July 12th, 2024. It's been 3 days. Patch came out on Tuesday. Today is Friday, and there's already another set of patch notes. So love it or hate it, you gotta give them credit. There was tweets from Aaron and Alec before this patch came out. Yo, Anonymous, thank you for 5 gifties. Appreciate you. I think they knew going in that this patch was going to be controversial, right? They were going to make this was going to be controversial, clearly. And so there are a few things that are a little bit broken, and we're going to go through it in a second, see if they've toned some of those things back. But overall, we're a couple days in. I want to talk about it a lot more later. I don't think this patch is as bad as it looked on paper. However, I think that it, one, doesn't address a lot of the pain points, and two, I think it's a sign of something else. But I don't want to talk about that right now. We'll talk about it later. I'll probably do that tomorrow because I want to play this patch now. So, gotta give him credit for adjusting kind of quick. Let's see what we got. Ramattra first. Ramattra was pretty good. Cooldown increased from 7 to 8 seconds. Base armor reduced from 100 to 75. Base health reduced from 275 to 250. So, this means staff form armor. Now he has 75 armor instead of 100. And base health is also down, so he loses 50 total HP, 25 from health, 25 from armor. That means staff form will be a little bit more vulnerable. That being said, also increasing the cooldown on Nemesis form means obviously you're punching a little bit less. This is a good change, I would say, because the armor in Nemesis form is kind of required to actually get close and like do your whole punchy punch. But also it was kind of just becoming like this unmovable wall strat. I did it the other day where we were playing against some insane players like 3 in the morning, and they ended up capping off of it. The only reason they capped is because they went Mauga Sombra, and they went Mauga to stand next to me, and then the Sombra hacked me out of my block so then they could blow me up. But I stood there for 4.5 minutes. Like 4.5 minutes, they walk up and engage, and go, oh, and just did nothing the entire fight except stand there. And it was just a wall. You couldn't kill me. If I could do that in a high like ranked game, I can only imagine how bad it probably was in the metal ranks if people were figuring out to just stand there and block. So good change. This is probably the most needed. Zarya. Particle barrier shared cooldown increased from 10 to 11. Whoa, that's a big one. And duration reduced from 2.5 to 2.25. Whoa, is that for both? Yes, it is. That's a pretty heavy-handed nerf, not gonna lie to you. So the buffs that still stay are when you get both bubbles, you go to 90 charge instead of 80 charge. The duration is still higher, but not by a ton. Here's the thing. This actually, in my opinion, takes Zarya back to where she was power-wise. Like, it's weird. They shifted the power. Like, she was kind of dominating, but this is 2 pretty significant nerfs. So here's the thing. When it was 2.5, the bubble was lasting long enough that it legitimately wasn't worth waiting it out, because good Zarya players do this thing called a bubble rotation, where you bubble somebody once as you walk in. So you have 2 bubbles. So you bubble someone or yourself as you walk in. And then once you get to about 1.5 bubbles of recharge, you use your second bubble. And then as the bubble finishes, you actually have a 3rd bubble. And what that would do on the old cooldown before the buff, you would have 3 bubbles per fight. Because of the increased timer, you could actually get up to 4 bubbles a fight. And plus they last longer, like on other people, like you get to wait longer in the fight. Like there's so many things that it just wasn't worth waiting it out. You just fucking try to blow up the Zarya. So Zarya would always be 100 charge. This, weirdly enough, keeps Zarya at a higher charge, but has her bubbles up less often. It's weird. It means the bubbles are gonna matter more. This is a pretty significant Zarya nerf though. Pretty significant. I like it. This is a good nerf because it changes the way Zarya plays. Spoiler, Frogger is mad. I have a feeling I know what's coming later. It's gonna be a Lucio. Is it a Lucio boop nerf? It definitely is. Okay, let's just keep going. Pharah base, oh, Pharah base health reduced from 250 to 225. Wait, they're kind of cooking. Okay, so here's why this is a good change. Pharah is still really, really strong after the nerf that she received to her conch, although it really wasn't much of a nerf. The problem with Pharah, though, is they nerfed her biggest counter, which is Cassidy, with his fall off. So you weren't doing much damage. So even though Pharah was nerfed, the biggest counter to the nerf actually got a significant nerf in the range nerf. So you weren't able to really deal with Pharah very well. So Pharah was still the best DPS in the game, pre-patch, pre to this. This makes it so because she has less health, even with the range nerf, you're probably going to do somewhat of close to the damage you were doing before, like threat level wise. That's actually a really good change. I like this. That's a good one. Illari. Oh, I see the Lucio one. Illari, cooldown for pylon increased from 12 to 14. Makes sense. And ultimate's costs increased 12%. Good changes. Reason these are good changes is one, they buffed her healing with the previous patch from the pylon. So that means she was doing more healing, which means she's getting more ult charge faster. She still does really good damage. And the cooldown going up on it just makes it so that it's not, if you kill it, the uptime is a little bit lower, which is nice, because they also buffed its health. But also, the big thing is good Illaris will still be okay, because if they just keep readjusting their pylon before people walk up, then they'll be good. Yep, there it is. Lucio, Sonic Amplifier, knockback reduced by 10%. And this is an exact mirror to the tank passive. So the tank passive got reduced from 50% to 40%, a 10% nerf. So now they're in turn nerfing Lucio's boop by 10%. I remember when I watched like Frogger's rant video, he talked about the whole reason why the tank passive needs to be what it is so like you don't boop tanks like that, and so Lucio can still boop things. I agreed with him on that take, and this is a good example where now that the tank passive is a little bit less, you gotta pull boop back a little bit less, just so it's not absolutely rolling them. But it's the whole game of, you know, is there too many passives, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I have a lot of thoughts on this patch. I want to play this specifically because I think this is actually a really good patch. Like, this hotfix is phenomenal. The only thing that's being left off of this, in my opinion, is D.Va. D.Va is still really, really strong. Almost oppressively strong. And honestly, with Zarya getting a pretty heavy-handed nerf, I could see D.Va taking over. And I know there's a lot of people that are probably going to say Mauga, you know, either in chat or in the comments. Mauga is still in a weird spot because I think overall he has a really big potential to be scary. But with D.Va as good as she is, you literally just pick D.Va into Mauga. You know what happens? You just sit there and don't use your DM. And the second you hear the ha-ha, you just go right-click. And your DM lasts longer than his E does. So he has to sit there trying to lifesteal and you just go... And then just they do nothing, right? And they just lose. So I think it has potential down the road, but I don't think Mauga right now is that big of an issue. But I still hate the character, and I hate playing against the character, and I don't want to play the character. And so honestly, it's such a shit character that the fact that he's even lurking in the shadows is potentially good in the future is enough to piss me off. But at least at this current moment, relax, take a breath. Mauga's not that good right now because there are things that shit on him. However, I think there's still a danger lurking in the shadows. He's still a danger lurking in the shadows. So don't take your eyes off him because he could sneak up on us. But for right now, it's okay. Probably get ready for more D.Va though, because I think D.Va gonna go burr. So I want to keep an eye on next week to see if they end up coming back and talking about these changes again, and maybe they do a slight D.Va nerf. Because maybe a slight D.Va nerf is all we need. From being in a good spot, and the only thing it really needs is defense matrix. I know a lot of people talk about the micro missiles, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I like the micro missile buff. I like being able to kill shit on D.Va. It's kind of awesome. But you know what the annoying part of D.Va is, to sit there on somebody and make sure they can't play the game for 3.5 seconds. That's boring. That I think is the probably thing you gotta pull back a little bit, and we might be in a pretty good spot. We'll talk more about that later, but this is your patch, your hotfix for July 12th, Friday. Have a good weekend. Cool.